oturuma hoş geldiniz. Aslında yeterince açıklama yapıldığı için ben çok uzatmadan genel bir giriş yapmak istiyorum. Bu bölümde daha çok aslında her şey 2002 yılında Budapeşte'de de Açık Erişim İnisiyatifi'nin devreye girmesiyle başladı. Daha sonra bugünlere geldik. Bu da yani açık erişimden başladı, açık bilim, açık inovasyona doğru gidiyor. Bu yolda epey yol alındı ama belki bu oturumların sonunda ortaya çıkmasını düşündüğümüz şeylerin bazılarının zaten olduğunu, olmakta olduğunu Sezer Hocam'ın, Hasan Hocam'ın açıklamalarıyla öğrenmiş olduk. Bu anlamda bu toplantı amacına belki şimdiden, önemli bir kısmı şimdiden ulaştı sayılır. O açıdan çok sevindirici. Açık erişimle ilgili bazı sorunlar var kabul etmemiz gereken. Onları daha önce düzenleme komitesi olarak aramızda konuştuğumuzda bu toplantının geniş, büyük bir zümreye hitap etmesi gerektiğini de belirlemiştik. Dolayısıyla o açıdan da çok sevinçliyim. Birinci oturumda Avrupa'da açık bilim politikaları, altyapıları ve inovasyona etkisi üzerine konuşacağız. Size verilen dokümandan bir değişiklik var. İlk olarak konuşmada uygulamada büyük açık bilim Tim Smith tarafından verilecek. Tim Smith Avrupa Parçacık Fiziği Laboratuvarı CERN'de İşbirliği Cihazlar ve Uygulamalar Grubu Başkanı. Smith CERN'deki önemli girişimlerde ve daha geniş bilim topluluğunda açık bilim savunuculuğu yapmakta. CERN'ün açık veri portalının lansmanını, LHC büyük verilerini ve Higgs bozonunun canlı olarak keşfini gösteren internet yayınını dünya ile paylaşmak için kullandı. Ayrıca Avrupa Komisyonu'nun Open Air projesi kapsamında dünya çapında bilim için bir açık veri hizmeti Zenodo'yu teşvik etmiş ve desteklemiştir. Now we are starting with you, Tim. Please.
So, thank you very much for inviting me here to talk about open science. So, thank you very much for inviting me here to talk about open science in the big science domain. So, as way of introduction, I just want to go back to the basics and remind about the scientific method and what that can inform us about how to do open science. So, as children, we all naturally learn to explore and understand the world and to apply what we learn. And knowingly or unknowingly, we continually perform experiments. Experiments that teach us that things fall towards the ground, that not everything bounces, and that our parents are not always happy about our experiments. But this way we learn about the world. We learn here about gravity. And the elements of what we're doing here are the elements of the scientific method. The scientific method of exploring, understanding, and applying. It's an iterative, collective, and corrective process, which I'll illustrate a little more through actually the study of gravity through the years. So what I described as the child's experience is what Aristotle described and was prevalent for 1,000 years or more as our understanding of gravity, until scientists like Galileo did different experiments where they dropped different weight balls off high buildings and discovered that they landed at the same time. This was revolutionary. This wasn't expected, and to this day it seems counterintuitive. But nonetheless, it underpinned Newton's laws of universal gravitation. But because it was so unexpected, people repeat it again and again and again, right up till recently when Apollo 15, they dropped a feather and a hammer on the moon just to make sure that it really still does hit the ground at the same time. So with this basic understanding of gravity, with this mastery, we could already make timepieces that harnessed it, ballistics and statics and dynamics and things like that. But it wasn't the end of the story. 20 or 30 years later, after those first experiments, Tycho Brahe did some more experiments where he measured very, very precisely the passage of the planets across the sky. These were the most incredibly accurate measurements ever, and he used them to fit models of our planetary systems, but he failed because he was convinced that the Earth was at the center and the Sun went round, so none of his models would fit the data. And it wasn't until he died and Kepler studied the same data set and fit different models with the Sun at the center of ellipses that he actually understood and created Kepler's laws of planetary motion. So these have withstood the test of time, and now we use them to launch rockets, to put satellites up, which have transformed the way that we do communications in the world. So our deeper understanding advances our deeper applications. That perhaps was thought to be enough until Einstein realized that on the largest scales in the universe, it wasn't enough, and that the gravitational bodies themselves transformed and deformed the space-time fabric around them. This was, again, another incredible leap forwards and something that couldn't really be believed, because that meant that light was going to bend around these objects. And actually, if the object was big enough, it would never escape at all, and black holes would be created. But experimentation came to the savior, and then at the end, after 100 years, we've now actually managed to observe this in the LIGO experiment just 2 years ago, where we saw the ripples in the space-time fabric from the collision of two black holes. So confirmed 100 years later. Now, why does this matter? How could we possibly apply that? Well, in fact, to understand the precise timing of satellite systems in Earth's magnetic field at different heights, you have to understand general relativity. So we wouldn't have GPSs without this. So the application of the most obscure theories is necessary and unbelievably useful in our everyday life. Another underpinning of the great general theory of relativity and special relativity was the idea that light is the absolute speed limit. A couple of years ago, there was an experiment where we discovered that neutrinos could travel faster than the speed of light. This was incredible. People went wild, and they invented, they imagined the applications to time travel, warp drives, and everything. Luckily, the scientists published their results openly, and it was collaborations around the world collaborated on checking them and found that there was a mistake, unfortunately. So the party was cancelled, and unfortunately, we don't have time travel yet. But this is correct science. You measure things, and you put out what you find. So the essence of science is indeed to measure things and to base your theories, base your understanding on what you measure, not what you expected to measure. Like Galileo at the beginning, to share things because your data might be interpreted better by other people than by yourselves. To validate it because not everything that's published is correct. To replicate it because some things just seem so wrong or can't possibly apply to other domains that you have to check it. And to keep it forever, because some things can't be checked and validated immediately, they can't be understood immediately, they can't be understood by the domain that you're working in. But by sharing them and keeping them, they may turn out to be useful later. So all of this is collectively and correctively the scientific method. So what's the challenge in applying this nowadays? Well, if I turn from the study of gravity to my own field, the study of the other three fundamental forces of nature, the electromagnetic, the weak, and the strong forces. If you look back at some of the pioneers, like Marie Curie, only 120 years ago, she was doing experiments that could be described on 1 or 2 sentences in a scientific paper. The data could be summarized in a table. And although people didn't believe her about radioactivity, they could check it for themselves. They could understand what was done and check it immediately. Well, fast forward another 90 years, when I started this research on the electroweak force, it was slightly different. I was a member of a 200-strong scientific collaboration that built a 6,000-ton experiment full of 100,000 electronic readout channels. There's no way we could possibly describe what we did in a few sentences. And therein lies the trouble, therein lies the challenge. And what I describe this as is the research data iceberg. So what we can describe now is just the tip of the iceberg of the research that we do. It can't possibly encapsulate everything. To understand everything that's done in the research, you have to have the computational workflows that were used, the statistical modeling that was undertook, the comparisons between data and Monte Carlos that were done. And even that is not enough. You have to have access to the underlying data, the raw data, the calibrations, the processed data, and all of the code that actually transformed from the raw signals into the physics quantities that we do our physics on. And here you see the problem. As you go deeper and deeper into this iceberg, it's no longer a question of storing a few kilobytes of PDFs. It becomes storing gigabytes, terabytes, or in our case, petabytes of data, and then sharing that with the world. That's a huge challenge. So what's the answer? So the answer is obviously the web. The web is the answer to everything, in fact, in this modern world. The web was actually invented where I work at CERN to share information with the world. So you think, yes, that is the answer. You can type into Google any scientific question and get 1,001 answers. All sorts of plots, data, and everything. Some of them are relevant, some of them are irrelevant. Some of the explanations are correct, and some of them are wrong. And therein lies the problem. You can also share all of your code, and this is the way that industry has been going, and now science is catching up, and every scientist basically now shares their code in open platforms where they can collaborate and make the code better, which is phenomenal, and also similar platforms for sharing their notes. And there are companies that can offer services for the research community in terms of storage and other fancy services. So what's the problem with this? Well, what we must remember is that sharing is not the same as publishing, and that's not the same as preserving. Even the best websites from NASA sometimes return you a 404, meaning, sorry, can't find that information anymore. So things that you thought you had bookmarked and you thought were going to be there forever disappear. Even the best code-sharing platforms have a way with a single click that you can get rid of, hide, make private, transfer to someone else, or completely delete the software that you were actually relying on for your research. And even the biggest companies change their minds about what's interesting. Who remembers Google Books, which is a fantastic initiative? They don't do it anymore. Who remembers the biggest leading movie and music streaming sites that transformed the industry and then disappeared? So the web might be part of the answer, but it can't be relied on as the sole answer. Scientists and the infrastructures behind those scientists have to create the infrastructures themselves to know that they can publish and preserve forever. So I'm going to describe how we do that in our big science. I work at CERN, which is housed in Geneva, and where we've created the biggest scientific apparatus in the world. It's a 27-kilometer ring, buried 100 meters underground, and it's where 120 different nationalities from 600 different universities get together to do our fundamental science. So there we've created monster experiments. You thought the one that I built was big. Well, these are 10 times as big. They take data at a phenomenal rate, so much so that we've now amassed 250 petabytes. That's 250 million gigabytes of data, which we'd like to share with the world, along with the 100 million lines of code we've written for you to analyze with it. So how on earth do you do that? So what we did was we created from all of our digital library knowledge and all of our data management knowledge, we merged it together to create a portal where the data could be accessed and all the software and all of the environments. But to do that, because we decided to do it after we'd finished all of our publication of a given year, It took us a whole year of working physicists with the computer scientists, with the librarians, to actually identify every single element that was used in an analysis, every program, to document it, to make it reusable by everyone else. So this was a whole year's work to be able to do this. Nonetheless, it was worthwhile. We shared it with the world, it hit the headlines, everyone said you could now analyze the mysteries of the universe from your sofa, which is a bit ambitious, you need a very powerful sofa, but nonetheless you could access it and you could do your own experiments. And the question is this useful? Apart from being the right thing for science, yes it was. Just last year, the very first paper in a peer-reviewed journal came out by some scientists who had never worked on our experiments, who'd never been to CERN, who simply downloaded our software and our data and got some new insights that we had not made. So this shows that even in the frontier science with massive data, you can still do things if you make it open, and you can still get surprising results. So what that 1 year taught us was it's not sufficient to think that at the end of an analysis, at the end of a publication, you can just simply make it available. No, you must capture the computational workflow as it's going along. And some of these are hugely complex. For instance, some of our single step in our workflow may be 1,000 actual computational steps for which there is a different program that we have to capture. So doing this is quite a challenge, and we realized that to help the scientists, in fact what we needed to build was a whole analysis preservation platform that accompanied them through the whole of their experimentation. So this is completely closed, nobody can access it. The goal is to prepare the data for being open when the scientist has finished their exploitation phase. So it captures the environment, the data, the databases, the documentation, as the scientist is working on the research, and then only at the end, when they want to push a button, everything is ready. So this is the way that we can really make open science happen, is by making tools that really make it easy for a scientist to do it right. But we realized that that wasn't quite enough, because capturing it doesn't guarantee that you can actually use it. So we're then working on a platform called RIANA, the Reusable Analyses, where we actually take the software and the data, we instantiate it on the cloud, and we rerun it. And what we're hoping is to put into our scientific approval workflows a check that everything that was captured prior to the publication being accepted actually produces the results that the scientists and researchers are saying that it does produce. So that would be the ultimate goal of this system, is a validation button that the editors, the reviewers can see for the science as it's being published. So we've made this platform open so that anybody else can, all of the software we always write is always open, so anyone can do it again themselves. But sometimes that's not enough, just making the software available. So in fact, when the European Commission decided that it wanted to make policies to encourage, to force the researchers across Europe to go to the more open scheme of things, we teamed up with partners across Europe in the Open Air project to provide services similar to what we'd done at CERN for scientists across Europe, to show them that it is possible, to show them how they could build their own, or to give them something that they could use if they couldn't build their own. So in this way, we built in the corner of the CERN data center, just one server out of our 100,000 cores, we built the Zenodo service for open science. This is actually an open research as a service platform where you can transform not just the publications which are already handled, but every other research object into a first-class object for citation by giving it a DOI, by making it accessible forever. And in this way you can capture and you can use in other publications images, the software, the presentations, all sorts of different objects. This allows you to put it into the classic publication chains, the academic journals. It makes it easy for you to share in the more modern platforms for communication, and allows you to export it into any of the local systems that you might have in your country or your university. So just to illustrate how this helps this problem of sharing, not being publication or preservation, I take the example of GitHub, where everyone is sharing basically every scientist is now sharing their software. But it wasn't something that you could cite, it's just a URL. So we teamed up and we made our APIs join together such that with a single click of a button, when you tag a release in GitHub, you actually get a zip packet that gets saved on Zenodo. It issues a digital object identifier which goes back and you can use as a citation in your paper. So this means that suddenly the software that was used at that instant is preserved forever, and if you go back to the publication, you know for certain you can go and find exactly the software that was used to make those results. So this is a huge step forwards in opening science for everyone. So this has allowed Zenodo to be used behind the scenes in all sorts of new processes. New journals are popping up, this journal of brief ideas that just allows people to throw ideas out more quickly, snippets, and accelerates the pace of scholarship. Peer reviews can now actually look at the data and the software prior to the peer review, to the peer reviewing of the publications themselves, because we can issue private links that the reviewers can access. And people at universities or any institutes around the world can create their own collections if they can't build their own. Or quite often it's temporarily while they're building their own, we give them a house where they can collect their information, their data, and then later ship it off to their institutes. So basically, what you'll hear in the rest of this set of presentations is that open science is motivated by lots of different reasons. Public funding is going into it, so it's a public good that everyone should have access to. It's more efficient for scientists to collaborate like this, to accelerate the pace of science. It's also more economic if you don't have to repeat something just because you can't understand the basics of it. It will have a greater impact if it's shared more widely. It will lead to more rapid innovation if the industry can access the actual data and the software and programs that you've used in your research. You'll be able to measure the science more accurately if you can see all of the elements that went into the research. It will increase the quality if you could get rid of or eliminate more easily the fraud aspects. And it can give more equal access to all of the data, to all of the people that can't afford in the institutes to access the high-cost journals. So for all these reasons, you'll hear that open science is good. But I hope I've shown you that, in fact, for me, more importantly, open science is good because it is good science. It's the only way you can validate what actually went on nowadays. It's the only way you can reproduce or reuse the results is by having access to the actual science, the actual research that went on. So in this way, I think that open science is a perfect way of advancing knowledge, advancing technology, and advancing society. Thank you.
Just a second. Thank you, Tim. Şirin Hocam soru alalım mı, sonra mı bırakalım? Biraz zamanımız var. Dolayısıyla Tim çok iyi. Thank you very much for using the time, right? Eğer sorunuz varsa bir iki soru alabiliriz. Sonra da alabiliriz. Panelin bitiminde de, oturum bitiminde de alabiliriz. Tamam, şimdi devam edelim. Okay, we are continuing with you. Şimdiki konuşmacımız Natalya Manola. Natalya Manola, Athena Araştırma ve Yenilikçilik Merkezi ve Athena Üniversitesi Enformatik ve Telekomünikasyon Bölümünde araştırma görevlisidir. Açık bilim politikaları ve politikaların uygulamaya konması konularında tecrübe sahibi olan Manola, şu anda Avrupa Komisyonu'nun üst düzey bir danışma grubu olan Açık Erişim Politikaları platformunda komisyon üyesi Carlos Moeres'a Avrupa'da açık bilim politikalarının oluşturulması ve uygulaması konusunda tavsiyelerde bulunmaktadır. Please, Natalia.
Okay. Good morning. First of all, I would like to say that I'm honored to be here. I would like to thank the organizers, Vice Rector Shirin, for example, and Mr. Gudral. And I would like to also say that I really enjoyed the morning session to see what is happening at the national level. Because as open air now, as I will describe as in the next in my talk, is that in open air we're trying to do the national approach, and I personally, with my colleague Ellie, we are also involved in the developments that are happening in our country, in Greece, and we see pretty much the same issues that we heard before. So the two messages that I want to say from this morning session is that the problems with science and with the CEO of Sabancı Holdings is that we can hear them in Greece, we can hear them in Portugal, in Spain. So the question that I would like to put is, where can science help? Where can science, how can we put science in action in order to make sure that, we keep our scientists at home and we progress? And then the second message is that I kept from the head of Tubitak is collaboration. So for us, collaboration within the country is very important. And as I will explain, is because we're moving away from open access to open science. Open science is a huge field, and there is not one organization that is able to take it forward. So collaboration is the key. So what I will present is open air in the European Open Science Cloud. Okay. I will say, what is open science? Open science is not only open access to publication, it's not only open access to data, it's not only about fair data, it's not only open access to software, it's not about only opening up the methodologies and the protocols, educational resources, because science is very linked to educational. It's not only about opening the whole process of research, it's all of this together. All of this together, so all of these bits and pieces make up open science. And the other thing that this is when we stay in the boards in the walls within science. But then science is something that transpasses the walls of science and within the university. And as we heard today, it's about opening it up to the world, to the citizens, to the public, to the government, to anyone who should take advantage of other scientific results. Why does it matter? I will just reiterate probably what Tim said, a bit of what Tim said, is first of all, now we have been moving towards a data-driven and evidence-based science. So now the way we're doing science is different. So open science and open scholarship is the new way to do things. It's to do business. And we should all embrace it. We live in a connected world. Everything is connected. As I said before, science is not just behind closed walls. So we should think of openness as a behavior. And then it's about transparency, reproducibility, replicability, as Tim said, but it's mostly all this leads to trust. Trust of the science. We know about the fake news, we know about the fake science, we know about the real science, so this is about trust. So, a glimpse, so now I will start the open air talk. So a glimpse of open science and open access in the European Union. So we started in 2007 from FP7 pilot. There was only a pilot, 20% on open access to publication. Then we moved to Horizon 2020. There was an open access to all publications, scientific publications from Horizon 2020, and a pilot to data. Then 2 years after it started, all data became, there was a mandate for all data to be open. And then now Horizon Europe, which is the FP9, starting starting in 2021. The open science is one of the three major pillars, and it will be the modus operandi of the European Commission. And the European Commission, as we all know, it's about 11, 12, 10% of the European funding. So it's not just it's not the bulk of it, but they are the leaders on how we are doing things. All other funders, are, as we saw from the Plan S and the coalition and all the open data, they're following. So this is a good indication of what we should be doing. Where do I point to? Okay. So from theory to practice, this is where the mandates were, these are where the high-level policies, and open air is one of the European EU infrastructures, electronic infrastructures, that we are providing social and technical links in order to move towards to move to open scholarship, to move to open and reproducible science. So in open air, even though we started from open access to publications, now we're moving to open access to data, to fair data, to software, to linking everything together, to providing a 360 degrees view of the research ecosystem. Who is open air? I will just go very briefly over this because I'm not going to go into the detail of the organizations, but when you're setting up national infrastructure, it's important to see that what you need to do is you need to have a small image of what we're doing in Europe and what we're doing in the world. So an infrastructure like of open air consists of people who are actually doing the work. So these are the national open access desks. Then you need to have a coordination body of how these people who are doing the training, the promotion, the awareness, the technical services, how they're coordinated. Then on the side, because we have policies and training, but they go hand in hand with technology. You need to have the technology people in order to help out, to be there, to see what can be done and what cannot be done, how efficiently, and complement the policies with the services. You need the legal experts, because a lot of legal things are related to fairness and openness. And you need the data communities. The data communities are the ones and the researchers that are driving this. So you need them there to drive the effort and to validate. And of course, because it's open science, you need links. I wouldn't say that those are the high priorities to citizen science, but you should make sure that you have your door open to citizen science and open innovation. Because we want openness to lead to innovation. So when you're building a national infrastructure, have these elements in mind. So what we do in open air? We do three things. Pillars, we have categorized, how can I go back, on three things. Is policies, training and services. We're not doing policies per se, but we are trying to align policies around Europe. We're not doing the training ourselves, but we're trying to empower the people who are doing the training. And we are providing services, not at the institutional level where we are waiting for institutions to take over, but we are connecting these services together to get a better perspective and to get a global picture. So on the policies is what we see, and I think one of the three doors means that these the semantics behind it is that they are the policy makers. They know they have to move to open science. There are many ways to do that, and each of us in each country is doing it differently. So how can we align? And this is where open air comes into play. And through our national open access desks, the nodes, we have 34 nodes in Europe. the Technical University of Izmir is one of them, is one of the very active one, I have to say, is that what we're trying to do through this is we know that there are different solutions in every country. We know that there are different behaviors from researchers, from policymakers, from the way we are building things in every country. And what we say is that we cannot have a top-down policy, but what we would like to do is to say we accept all this diversity. This is the European, we're talking about Europe or extended Europe, and this is, our strength. So how can we say that there's no solution fits all, not one solution fits all? So how can we align it? We're doing this with our desks, which have an outreach to their national, to their local environments, to their local ecosystems. They have outreach to policymakers, they have outreach to national infrastructures, and they have outreach to researchers. So think about what are the organizations and what are the collaborations that you need to do in Turkey in doing things, in making an infrastructure that is sustainable and work, and how you connect to the outside world. And open air is the connection to the outside world. And through open air am I pointing? Okay. Through open air and through an organization called CORE, Coalition of Open Access Repositories, we're reaching out to the world, because what we're doing in Europe, we need to make sure that we align with other developments around the world, because at the end, the research is global. And we have to make sure that we have a global outreach. So what we say is, think of a hierarchical model, a coalition start from the bottom, national infrastructures, European, then global. So this is how we see things going ahead. On the training. Training is of key importance, and what we do, at least in open air, because we don't have the capacity to train all of Europe, but what we would like to do is to create the capacity for the trainers. And what we do is, I will just go very, very briefly, is we touch upon 4 areas. It's about open science policies. How can we train people to draft science policies and adapt them, or take them from somewhere from the network and adapt them? How can they build infrastructures, and what are the key interoperability, for example, or legal issues that they need to work on? Open research data and open access to publication. This is where we train, and how we do it. We are doing it through a train the trainers model. So we have open air, a core team, and then we're training the nodes. We hopefully, and through the exchange and knowledge of information, the nodes sometimes train us, and this is propagating, hopefully, down to the institutions and to the researchers. So this is of key importance, and what we have seen, and what I see also in Greece, is that you cannot have one organization taking over the training, because it's very, very time-consuming, and there are different aspects of training. So again, within the country, it's very, very important to have the collaboration also on the training, not just the infrastructure, the physical infrastructure, but also on the training. On the services, what we are doing, and this is the model that we would like to see at the national level also, we say that there are services for open science, and open science is the end user is the researcher, but there's a whole stack of users and stakeholders in between. So there are the policymakers, there are institution, at the high level, at the institution level, there are the libraries, the repository managers, the people who are providing cloud identity. So there's a whole suite of stakeholders related to open science. And what we are trying to do in open air at the high level is that, in European level, is to have a 3-stack for services, aiming for researchers. How can we support them at the level, at the local, where they're doing research, either at the national level through our NOAAs, or we collaborate with research infrastructure at the European level. Then we have a set of services about connecting connecting data together, connecting it in a way that makes sense for openness and fairness. And then we have the value-added services for monitoring for different policymakers. And what we have found out is that when we're building this infrastructure, those services, they give a very good visibility to open science to the funders. So do not, start with all three. And just to give a brief overview of our services, we have a suite of 6 dashboards, what we call them: Explore, Connect, Provide, Monitor, Develop, and Support. They will be released end of this month. This is the support where we will find information and guides about research data management, about legal things, about open access, about everything that is happening in Europe. Explore, where we aggregate and we have a content of about 25 million open access publications linked to data, linked to funder. So we have what we call a European CRIS research information system. There is the Connect, where research communities can have open-air services. I'm not going into details on how to perform open science through the services, and they don't have to do more specifics. Provide is a service where we have the content providers ingesting content, and we're giving them a set of tools for usage statistics and exchanging data. Monitor is the set of services for policymakers to monitor not only open science, but to monitor science. We have, of course, and Develop is the APIs to third party. We have Zenodo, we have Amnesia, an anonymization service, a DMP, and data and literature exchange services. So this is the suite of services in open air, again, in trying to support, connect, and produce value-added services. European Open Science Cloud, just 2 slides, is you may have heard of what is happening in Europe. Their preamble is that European Open Science Cloud is a virtual environment with free at the point of use. This is very important. Open and seamless services for storage, management, analysis, reuse of research data across borders and scientific disciplines. So this is a high-level policy at the very high levels of the European Union, and now they're rolling it out, the implementation. And this is about, if you see, I took the slide from the Commission, is about data sharing, linking data, connecting scientists, sustainable, better science, connecting disciplines. I'm reading, on open services. And these are just buzzwords. So the thing is that the very tricky thing that we have to do is how can we do it at the European level, but before we do it at the European level, we have to do it at the national level. So it's very, very important to do it at the national and then hook up to the European. So this is, again, a major initiative. This is doing science easily. And, of course, Open Air is a major facilitator of the European Open Science Cloud. The key characteristics of the cloud doesn't... I should point there. That's the trick. So I was pointing there. Okay. So this is building on existing infrastructure. So when we talk about European Open Science Cloud, Europe is going to give money, but probably most of the money will come from the member states or from associate member states. It's user-oriented, user-driven. Co-design, so those are buzzwords, and then we have to see how, when we implement it, we go about it. But the emphasis is on open and fair data. It's about on social challenges, on training, on how can we get this network of people well embedded in the researcher environments. Professional operation of services, not just, I had a service, I put it up there. It's a professional provision of the service. New models of scholarly communication, so when we talk about how we are going and funding publications and data, we have to think about it, and this involves the innovative funding mechanisms also. And I think this is it. Nope. Take-home messages, 2 messages, is the Open science, you are all here together, we are all here together, and we see that in every country. But we need to make sure to have something in our mind, that open science does not come for free. We need serious investment, and we need commitment from the funders and commitment from the rectors of the universities, and not just being a rector now, but the next rector. So we need to build the structures in order to have commitment. And this is lacking all over Europe. So this is something that we need to think about carefully. Where do we want to go? And if we want to go there, let's commit. And then the other key message is that it's time to act now. We have been talking about open science and fair science for the past 10 years, but I think personally that the EOSC, the European Open Science Cloud, is a golden opportunity for all of us to see and how can we put an order into our own houses and into our own states, and then how we connect to the world. So let's not leave the opportunity to go wasted. Should be the last one. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalia. Perfect timing. Yes. So we can have questions right after all the talks are finished. Çok teşekkür ediyoruz Natalia'ya da. Zamanında gidiyor her şey. Sırada sevgili Yaşar Hoca var. Profesör Doktor Yaşar Tonta, Hacettepe Üniversitesi Bilgi ve Belge Yönetimi Bölümü öğretim üyesi. Bilgi erişim, bilgi mimarisi, bilgi sistemleri tasarımı, ağa dayalı bilgi hizmetleri, dijital kütüphaneler, elektronik yayıncılık, açık erişim, kültürel miras ve bibliometri konularında dersler vermekte ve araştırmalar yapmaktadır. Geçmişte Profesör Tonta, TÜBİTAK Ulusal Akademik Ağ ve Bilgi Merkezi'nin, ULAKBİM'in kurucu müdürü, Hacettepe Üniversitesi Bilgi ve Belge Yönetimi Bölüm Başkanı, NATO Araştırma ve Teknoloji Örgütü Bilgi Yönetim Komitesi'nin seçilmiş başkanı ve Bilgi Yönetimi Komitesi'nin Elektronik Bilgi Yönetimi Seminer Dizisi'nin yöneticisi ve UNESCO Türkiye Milli Komisyonu Dünya Belleği İhtisas Komitesi Başkan Vekili olarak görev yaptı. Sayın Hocam, buyurun, söz sizde.
Teşekkür ederim Sayın Başkan. Sayın konuklar, gerek burada olanlar, gerekse bizi internetten izleyenler, çok teşekkürler katılımınız için. Ben size bugün bunu çalıştırmayı başarabilirsem, ortak kaynak olarak bilgiden ve bunun açık bilim çalışmalarındaki öneminden söz edeceğim. Ayrıca özellikle internet teknolojilerinin bu ortak kaynak olarak nitelendirilen kaynakların kullanımındaki mülkiyet haklarını nasıl değişikliğe uğrattığından bahsedeceğim. Ve açık bilim ekosisteminden ya da araştırma altyapılarından kısaca söz edeceğim. Şimdi önce ortak kaynak sözcüğünü açıklamakta belki yarar var. Çünkü gündelik yaşamda arkasında ne yattığını görmek pek kolay değil. İngilizce common sözcüğünden geliyor ama hem tekil hem de çoğul olarak da kullanılıyor. Common good dediğimiz zaman kamu yararı, öte yandan çoğul olduğu zaman kamu malı diyoruz. Genellikle de yaygın kullanım kamu malı biçiminde. Bu açıdan commons aynı zamanda ortak alan anlamına da geliyor. Mesela Amerika Birleşik Devletleri'ndeki bazı üniversitelerde Digital Commons diye alanlar var. Burada işte müzik kaydetmek istiyorsanız sessiz odalar var ya da 3 boyutlu yazıcılar var vesaire. Aynı şekilde Creative Commons dediğimizde de aslında yaratıcı ortak alandan, yaratıcı ortak kaynaklardan söz ediyoruz demektir. Ben bu konuşmada zaman zaman kamu malı da geçecek olsa da ortak kaynaklar tercihini yaptım. Umarım bu şekilde devam ederim. Şimdi kamu malı olarak bilindiği durumlarla ilgili örnekler geçmişte çok yaygın olarak tartışıldı. Ve baskın görüş eğer bir şey kamu malıysa herkes bundan olabildiğince fazla yararlanacak ve bu kamu malı tükenecek. Nitekim ilk makalelerden biri Hardin tarafından The Tragedy of Commons diye adlandırılmıştır ve köyün merasına herkes daha fazla inek, hayvan otlatmak isteyeceği için buradan sonuçta kimseye yarar gelmeyecek diye. Aslına bakılırsa mal sözcüğü Arapça bir sözcük bildiğiniz gibi bizde de aslında daha değişik bir anlamda kullanılıyor. Evet, hayvanlar da belki bir zenginlik vesaire ama Arapça anlamı mücevher, zenginlik, servet demek. Onun için belki de hatta işte Mal Hatun diye adı olan padişah eşlerimiz var. Fakat genel olarak bakıldığında ortak kaynak dediğimiz şey sadece bu tür taşınmazlarla vesaire sınırlı değil kuşkusuz. 1980'lere 90'lara gelene kadar biraz önce sözünü ettiğim paradigma çok yaygındı. Ama resmini gördüğünüz Elinor Ostrom 2009 yılında ekonomi alanında ilk Nobel ödülünü kazanan bilimci. Kendisi aslında bir siyaset bilimci, ekonomist değil. Fakat o zamana kadar genellikle kamu mallarının ya devlet otoritesiyle düzenlenmesi ya da özel şirketlere devredilmesinin ötesinde de bir yol olduğunu ilk gösteren bilimcilerden biri. Dünyada yapılan ve bu dediğimiz iki şık dışında o kaynağın sahibi olan topluluklar tarafından yönetilen binlerce hem başarılı hem de başarısız örnekleri tartıştığı kitabı 1990 yılında yayımlandı, Governing the Commons diye, ki burada örneğin Fikret Berkes'in çalışmalarına dayanarak Türkiye'den de 3 örnek var. Balıkçılık alanlarının kamu malı olarak kullanılması. Biri Alanya'dan, biri Bodrum'dan, biri İzmir'den. Bunlardan Alanya başarılı bir şekilde işlerken diğerleri işlemiyor. Buradan giderek de Lynn Ostrom diyor ki yani pekala kolektif eylemle de bu tür kamu mallarını yönetmek mümkün ama bunun başarıya ulaşması için işte şu koşulların sağlanması gerekiyor. Lynn Ostrom aynı zamanda daha sonra bir kamu malı ortak kaynak olarak bilgi olayına da el attı ve 2007 yılında şu Understanding Knowledge as a Commons kitabını yayımladı ki burada bir çerçeve sunuyor kamu malı olarak, ortak kaynak olarak bilginin kullanımı ile ilgili konularda. Kaynak türlerine Ostrom bir kaynağın kullanıldığında azalıp azalmadığı ile o kaynağın kullanımından bazı kişi ya da grupların dışlanıp dışlanamayacağına göre bir ayrım yapıyor. Örneğin işte hepimiz nefes alıyoruz. Dolayısıyla bundan bizi kimse dışlayamaz. Buradaki örneklere baktığımızda hem bilgi kaynakları var hem de bilgi kaynakları dışında ortak kaynaklar var ama örneğin yararlı bilginin kullanımı bir başkasının kullanımını engellemiyor. Benim cebir öğrenmemin mevcut cebir bilgisini azalttığı yönünde bir şey söylemek çok saçma olur kuşkusuz. Öte yandan bazı kaynaklar var ki dışlamak mümkün. Örneğin elektronik dergilere gelene kadar dergi abonelikleri sadece ve sadece abone olan kütüphanelere sunuluyordu. Şimdi de sadece lisans ödeyenlere sunuluyor belki o açıdan bakıldığında. Ama bir düşündüğünüz zaman bu özellikle bilgi içeren kaynaklar söz konusu olduğunda bunların başkalarıyla paylaşıldığında kullanım değeri azalmıyor. Ki buna teknik olarak subtractability deniliyor. Aynı zamanda da belli bir kişiyi ya da grubu dışlamak genellikle maliyetli ve zor. Dolayısıyla ortak kaynak olarak bilginin bu iki özelliği bu konuda yapılan çalışmalarda daha sonra açık bilimde dahil olmak üzere karşımıza çıkıyor. Burada Lynn Ostrom bilgi ile bilginin farklı türlerini nesne, kolaylık, fikirler biçiminde ele alıyor. Ortak kaynak olarak bilgi pekala bir makalede, kitapta vesaire bulunabilir ama onun ötesinde kolaylık birimleri diye adlandırdığımız, örneğin işte internet gibi, Ulakbim gibi, OpenAir gibi, Avrupa Açık Bilim Bulutu gibi kolaylık birimleri de söz konusu. Bir de öte yandan daha soyut, belki bu süreci içeren fikirler, bilgiler ve veriler söz konusu. Burada müthiş bir geçişkenlik söz konusu ama ister kolaylık birimi olsun, ister nesne olarak bilgi kaynakları olsun, isterse daha soyut anlamda bilgi edinme, öğrenme süreci olsun, bir şekilde ortak kaynak tipolojisi içerisinde yerini bulmuş durumda. İnternet teknolojileri kuşkusuz bu ortak kaynakların kullanımını son 30-40 yılda müthiş bir şekilde değiştirdi. Biraz önce azalabilirlik ve dışlanabilirlik özelliklerinden söz etmiştik. Örneğin elektronik kitaplara, dergilere gelene kadar benim bir kitabı kullanmam bir başkasının kullanmasını engelliyordu. Dolayısıyla burada bu imkanımız yoktu ama elektronik kitaplara geçilmesiyle birlikte artık o aynı anda birden fazla kişiye sunulabilen bir bilgi kaynağı haline geldi. Öte yandan dışlanma konusuyla ilgili olarak da televizyon aygıtınız varsa bütün yayınlara erişebiliyordunuz bir zamanlar ama şu anda teknolojinin bize verdiği olanaklarla, dijital hak yönetimiyle vesaire nokta atışı yapıp sadece istediğim ya da ödemesini yapan kişilere bu yayınları iletebiliyoruz. Bir zamanlar her birimiz yazılımları işte 8-10 tane CD gelir bilgisayarlarımıza yükleyip Word'ü vesaire kullanırdık. Oysa teknolojinin gelişmesiyle birlikte pekala açık kaynak yazılımları internetten indirerek otomatik olarak kullanabiliyoruz. Dolayısıyla internet teknolojileri aynı zamanda bu ortak kaynaklarla ilgili mülkiyet haklarını da müthiş bir şekilde değişime uğratmış durumda. Eskiden bilgi ve onu muhafaza eden kap diyelim, yani eski deyişle zarf ile mazruf aynı ortamdaydı. Dolayısıyla bilgiden yararlanabilmek için o paketi almak zorundaydınız. İşte CD'yi alacaksınız ki içindeki bilgiyi şey yapabilirsiniz. Bu açıdan bakıldığında da bilgilerle ilgili haklar hep en sonda yer alan temlik, devir, ferah, yani birine haklarını devretme ya da o haklara sahip olma ya da onlardan feragat etme biçiminde düzenleniyordu. Örneğin yayıncılara makalenizi kendi matbaanız olmadığı için yayınlamaları için verdiğinizde bundan sonra ortaya çıkabilecek bütün teknolojik ortamlarda dahi sizden haklarınızı devretmenizi istiyorlardı. Ve halen de bu bir dereceye kadar devam ediyor. Ama teknolojinin gelişmesiyle birlikte gördüğünüz gibi burada çok daha ayrılabilir haklar ortaya çıktı. Wikipedia'yı düşünün örneğin. Gerçi ülkemizde, neyse girmeyeyim o konuya. Örneğin Wikipedia makalelere erişebiliyorsunuz. Katkıda bulunabiliyorsunuz. Silebiliyorsunuz, düzeltebiliyorsunuz. Editör olarak rol alıp yönetiminde yer alabiliyorsunuz. Bazı kullanıcıları tek ayak üzerinde durdurabiliyorsunuz. Yazarlar işte ne bileyim bir madde üzerinde çok fazla değişiklik yaptılarsa biraz sen dinlen diyebiliyoruz vesaire. Kuşkusuz son hak gene elektronik bilgiler için de söz konusu, dağıtık bilgiler için de söz konusu. Ama çoğu zaman ilk 6 maddedeki hakları biz bu paketin içerisine elektronik dağıtık bilgiler içinde gömmüş oluyoruz ve bu açık bilim açısından da müthiş sıkıntılı bir durum yaratıyor. Çünkü Jeremy Rifkin benim yıllardır izlediğim bir yazardır. İlk kitabı yaklaşık 20 sene önce çıkmıştı, Erişim Çağı diye. Burada Örneğin insanların artık sahip olmak yerine, diyelim ki bir yazlığa sahip olmak vesaire, değişik ülkeleri gezip deneyim sahibi olmayı tercih etmeye başladığını söylüyordu. Ve ilk defa orada, o zamanlar elektronik dergiler de yeni çıkıyor, bundan sonra sahip olmak, yani dergilere abone olarak kendi kütüphanenizde bulundurmak yerine erişimin öne çıkacağını vesaire söylüyordu. En son yayımladığı kitabında da Zero Cost Marginal Society, ama Türkçe'ye bu adla çevrilmiş, şu çok önemli soruyu soruyor. Yani diyor ki patent ve telif hakları, biraz önce sözünü ettiğimiz mülkiyet hakları aslında kıtlık ekonomisinin sonuçları. Oysa biz bolluk ekonomisinde bulunuyoruz ve özellikle de bu ekonomide bilgi ve bundan türetilen yayınlara, örneğin açık kaynak yazılımlara vesaire neredeyse sıfır maliyetle erişimimiz söz konusu. Dolayısıyla bu tür hizmetlerin sayısı gün be gün artarken fikri mülkiyet haklarını korumanın ne yararı olabilir ki diyor. Ki Jeremy Rifkin'i doğrulayan bir sürü araştırma var literatürde. Örneğin bugün hayatımızı değiştiren birçok buluş, İnsan Genomu Projesi, bilgisayar, World Wide Web, bunlar hep aslında açık bilim, yani patentlenmemiş şeylerden kaynaklanıyor. Nitekim yapılan araştırmalarda telif haklarının bilimsel araştırma ve ürün geliştirmeyi 1/3 oranında azalttığı, yenilik oluşturma, yaratma sürecini kısıtladığı söyleniyor. Örneğin nanoteknoloji örneği verilmiş. Yüzlerce, bu konuda araştırma yapabilmek için yüzlerce hak sahibinden hakları temizleyeceksiniz ki bu konuda yeni araştırmalar yapabilirsiniz. Bu da emek ve para demek kuşkusuz. Bir diğer önemli nokta, elektronik, dijital ortamda geleneksel mülkiyet haklarını kullanma söz konusu olduğunda şöyle bir çatışma söz konusu. Demin dedim ya, zarfla mazruf hikayesi. Şimdi orada her şey kopyalamanın kısıtlanması üzerine kurgulanmış durumda. Tipografisini bile değiştirmeniz telif hakkına tabi. Oysa dijital ortamda bilgi kullanmak öncelikle kopyalamaya dayanıyor. Şu ekranda gördüğünüz bilgiye erişebilmek için öncelikle bunun sizin ekranınıza kopyalanması gerekiyor ki bunu kullanabilirsiniz. Dolayısıyla biz o eski paradigmadaki kopyalama olayını hala dijital ortamda devam ettirmeye çalışıyoruz. Dolayısıyla bu sorunu çözmemiz gerekiyor herhalde. Şimdi buradan biraz açık bilime doğru geçmek istiyorum. Biz Pasteur for OA diye bir proje yürütmüştük. Zamanla karşılaştığımız bilimin ortak kaynak olduğu, insanlığa ait olduğu ile ilgili alıntılardan bir tanesi bu. Bilim sınır tanımaz diye bildiğimiz Pasteur'ün sözü, bilgi insanlığa aittir diye. Evet, bilgi ortak kaynak ama bilim insanlığa mı ait? Açık mı? Açıklıktan ne anlamamız gerektiği de burada verilmiş durumda. Maalesef değil. Neden değil derseniz, belki önce açık bilimi kabaca tanımlayalım. Açık bilim demek, araştırmalardan üretilen bilimsel yayınlara, o bilimsel yayınları oluşturmak üzere izlenen süreçte toplanan verilere, bu verileri analiz etmek, geçerlemek için kullanılan yöntemlere, bilgisayar programlarına vesaire herkesin kolayca erişebilmesi anlamına geliyor. Birazdan 2 ve 3 ile ilgili de konuşacağım ama bu zamana kadar bizim vurgumuz hep bilimsel yayınlara açık erişim üzerinde odaklanmış durumda. Bu da nedensiz değil. Çünkü araştırmayla ticaretin ara kesiti müthiş bir pazar. Senede 25 milyar dolarlık bir pazardan söz ediyoruz. Dolayısıyla biraz önceki konuşmalarda da bahsedildi. Yayıncılar bu pazarı kullanarak %35-40 civarında kar ediyorlar. Neden? Çünkü kamu kaynaklarıyla üretilmiş olan yayınlara parasını bizler vermişiz. Sadece hakemlik, baskı, şimdi artık baskı da yok gerçi ya, elektronik dağıtım vesaire hikayesini ekleyerek bu katma değer sonucunda bu kadar yüksek karlar elde edebiliyorlar. Gültekin de işaret etti, paywall diye ayın 5'inde bir belgesel yayımlandı. 1 saat uzunluğunda. Belki üniversitelerde topluca da göstermek lazım bunu. Orada mesela diyor ki hiçbir sektörde %35, %40 gibi bir kar marjı yok. İşte Apple'ın en yüksek olduğu zamanlarda bu %22 civarında. Walmart, Amerika Birleşik Devletleri'nde sadece %3 kar marjıyla çalışıyor. Oysa bizim vergilerimizde yapılan araştırmaların ürünlerine kattıkları değerle bu tür firmalar %35, %40'lar alabiliyorlar. Şimdi bu araştırma iş akışına baktığımızda işte bir kıvılcımın tetiklenmesinden tutun da onun yayın haline gelmesi, verilerin toplanması, analiz edilmesi ve değerlendirilmesine kadar uzun bir süreç var. Yayıncılar burada sadece şu kısımda yer alıyor deyip belki gönlünüzü ferah tutmak isteyebilirsiniz. Ama acele etmeyin derim ben size. Çünkü son yıllarda bu yayıncılar aynı zamanda araştırma sürecindeki ve araştırma sonrasındaki araştırma değerlendirme kısımları ile ilgili çalışmalar yapan bir sürü küçük şirketi de yutmaya başladılar. İşte bunun örnekleri var. Ne bileyim Figshare gibi, Mendeley gibi, SSRN gibi, Bepress gibi, yani saymakla bitmez. Dolayısıyla görünen o ki yayıncılar sadece geleneksel hakemlik süreci, yayın ve dağıtım işleriyle kısıtlı kalmayacaklar. Bunun yanı sıra veri toplama, bu verileri düzenleme, aynı zamanda sizin araştırmacılarınızı, araştırma birimlerinizi değerlendirmede de rol alıyor. Nitekim günümüzde de bu şekilde devam etmiyor mu? Yani kütüphane müdürüne geliyor, lisansları tartışıyor ama rektörünüze gidiyor, adını vermeyeyim şimdi, işte araştırma değerlendirme ile ilgili ürününü doğrudan kütüphanenin haberi olmadan rektöre satmaya, pazarlamaya çalışıyor. Dolayısıyla onun için diyorum kalbinizi birazcık belki de ferah tutmakta acele etmeyin diye. Mesela Google harmanlayarak açık verileri pekala birkaç gün önce aramaya imkan veren, veri kümelerini aramaya imkan veren bir hizmet başlattı. Burada işte Türk makamları ile ilgili bir açık veri. Diyebilirsiniz ki nereden bu veriyi bulmuş vesaire. Tabii ki yayıncılar sadece artık bastıkları makalelerdeki verimlerle kısıtlı kalmayıp bunları aynı zamanda yazarlardan da istemeye başladılar. İşte PLOS ONE gibi vesaire. Buradan kaynaklanıyor bir bakıma. Ben şimdi bu çok karmaşık gibi gözükebilir ama özet bir şekilde size açık erişim ekosisteminden söz etmek istiyorum. Açık erişim ekosistemi demek aslında bakılırsa kabaca araştırma altyapıları demek. Bu belki biraz Türkiye merkezli bir şekil olmuş olabilir ama bakacak olursanız üst tarafta işte örgütsel, örneğin bir üniversitede bulunabilecek birimler var. İşte bilimsel araştırma projeleri, kütüphane, bilişim sistemleri, akademik değerlendirme sistemi, akademik envanter sistemi vesaire gibi. Bir tarafta altyapı var ki altyapıyı burada çok genel hatlarıyla şöyle tanımlamak gerekli ki öyle tanımlanıyor. Kolaylık birimleri, kaynaklar ve hizmetlerden oluşan bir yapı, altyapı. Biraz önce söz etmiştik. Bir gözlem evi bir kolaylık birimidir. ULAKBİM bir kolaylık birimidir diye. Ama aynı zamanda kaynaklar da söz konusu. İşte ne bileyim equal kaynakları olsun, başka kaynaklar olsun. Ve bunlar üzerinden verilen hizmetler. Şimdi böyle baktığımız zaman araştırma altyapısının aslında hem mikro hem de makro düzeyde çalışması gerekir. Altyapılar için söylenen bir şey vardır. Eğer başarılı bir altyapınız varsa o altyapı görünmez. Ne zaman ki başarısızlığa uğrar o zaman farkında olursunuz. İşte internet kesildiği zaman farkında olursunuz mesela. Şimdi bizde de zaman zaman altyapıların görünmez olduğunu görüyoruz ama başka nedenlerle. Çoğu zaman olmadığı için. Şöyle bir kendinize sorun. Diyelim ki bir üniversitede doktora tezi yaptınız. Tezinizi teslim ediyorsunuz ve aradığınız enstitüyü, ya ben bununla ilgili bir sürü veri de topladım, bunları nereye göndereyim? Nasıl bir karşılık bulabilirsiniz bilmiyorum. Ya da hadi bunu araştırmacı seviyesine çıkaralım. Diyelim ki TÜBİTAK projesi yürüttünüz, projeniz bitti ve projeyle birlikte dediniz ki ya ben veri topladım, bunları ne yapacağım? Birkaç yıl önce bir konuşmada YÖK'ün veri politikası olup olmadığına, TÜBİTAK'ın olup olmadığına bakmıştım. Kendi üniversitemde dahil ama pek bir şey yoktu. Umarım o zamandan bu yana gelişme olmuştur. Demin sözünü ettiğim öğrenci diyelim ki kendi enstitüsünden bir geri bildirim alamadı, YÖK'e dedi. Ya ben bu verileri size göndersem ne yaparsınız? Dolayısıyla burada altyapının pürüzsüz işleyip işlemediğini görmek için bu sorularla muhatap olduğunuzda neredesiniz ona bakmak lazım. Lütfen yanlış anlaşılmasın. Her ülkede bu altyapının parçaları bir şekilde var. Ama bir şeyin açık bilim altyapısı olarak nitelendirilebilmesi için çok MON'dan biraz önceki sorularımın karşılığının da olması lazım. Böyle bir yapı olması lazım ki ancak o zaman görünmez bir bilim altyapısından söz edebilelim. Son gelişmelerden de biraz bahsederek toparlamak istiyorum. Amerikan bilim, mühendislik ve tıp akademileri ortak bir konsensus raporu yayımladılar. Ve bu raporun adı Open Science by Design. Buna ne demek lazım bilmiyorum. Bilerek, kasten açık bilim. Kastettikleri de şu. Bir araştırmayla ilgili kıvılcımın yanmasından tutun, onun kavramsallaştırılmasına, o konuda bilgi yaratılmasına, bu bilginin dağıtımına ve değerlendirmesine kadar bütün süreçlerin bu kasten bilerek bilim yapma paradigması çerçevesinde yapılmasını öneriyor Amerikan bilim akademileri. Nitekim geçen hafta daha önce de söz edildi, 11 ülkenin fon sağlayıcıları bir araya gelerek bundan sonra artık kamu kaynaklarıyla yaratılan bilginin biraz önce sözünü ettiğimiz mülkiyet hakları, kısıtlayıcı mülkiyet hakları çerçevesinde yayıncılara verilmesine hayır dediler. Bazıları bunun çok gecikmiş, 12 yıl gecikmiş bir hareket olduğunu söylüyor. 10 maddelik bir plan S var. Buradaki S, Science, Speed vesaire demek deniliyor ama bunlardan birkaçını burada görüyorsunuz. Hepsi üzerinde zamanım olmadığı için duramayacağım maalesef. Şimdi açık bilim ve fırsatlarla ilgili birkaç şey de söyleyip kapatmak istiyorum. Benden önceki konuşmacılar da daha güvenilir, doğrulanabilir, yeniden kullanılabilir kaynaklara atıf yaptılar. Daha hızlı, yaratıcı bilgi üretme, daha çok kişinin araştırmaya erişmesi, vatandaş bilimi diye bizim jargonumuza henüz girmemiş olan bir takım şeyler var. Ama bunun yanında özellikle araştırma altyapıları ile ilgili de bir takım ekonomik sorunlarımız var kuşkusuz. Paylaşmaya dayanan bir kültürümüz henüz yeşermedi üniversitelerde. Teşvik ve ödül söz konusu olduğunda açık bilim icra eden bilimcileri ödüllendirmek yerine başka göstergelere bakmayı tercih ediyoruz. Dolayısıyla önümüzde fırsatlar olduğu gibi bazı engeller de var ama bu sadece bizim ülkemize ya da bizim üniversitemize ait değil. Peki ne yapmalı? Her şeyden önce bu farkındalığın artırılması gerekiyor kuşkusuz. Kolayca da artmıyor. Bakın 2002 dedi Ahmet hocamız Budapeşte açık erişim girişiminden bu yana 16 sene geçmiş durumda ama daha biz bir hafta önce fon sağlayıcıların güçlü bir açık bilim deklarasyonuyla karşılaştık. Bir diğer nokta demin sözünü ettiğim akademik kültürde değişimin sağlanması. Belki de en zor noktalardan bir tanesi bu. 1952-1967 yılları arasında Kaliforniya Üniversitesi'nin başkanlığını yapmış olan Clark Kerr diye bir profesör, üniversiteleri değiştirmek bir mezarlığı taşımaya benzer demiş. İkisinde de içeridekilerden yardım alamazsınız demiş. Şimdi bu çok bilmiyorum, rektör yardımcısı, yönetici hocalarımızın hoşuna gidebilir bu söylediklerim ama ne kadar doğru onu sizin takdirlerinize bırakıyorum ama gerçekten de akademiyada hepimiz yaşıyoruz bunu, değişim yaratmak son derece zor. Alandaki insanların bunu daha belki açık yüreklilikle gözlediklerini sanıyorum. Açık lisanslar, örneğin Creative Commons ya da benim yaratıcı ortak kaynaklar demek istediğim 10 seneden beri gündemde. Ben hatırlıyorum İzlanda'da bir şey patladığında Şirin Hoca'nın önderliğinde bir toplantı yapmıştık. Epeyce zaman geçmiş durumda ama ortak kaynaklarla ilgili, yaratıcı ortak kaynaklarla ilgili hala yapılacak çok iş olduğunu düşünüyorum. Tabii ki bunun da ötesinde bir şemsiye açık bilim politikası, demin Amerikan akademilerinin dediği gibi kasten bilerek açık bilim politikasını içeren, bunun bütün aşamalarını içeren bir politikaya ihtiyaç var. Altyapıdan zaten bahsetmiştik biraz önce. Bu altyapılara ihtiyaç var. Bu açıdan bakıldığında da yapacak iş çok. Ben sabrınız için çok teşekkür ediyorum. Sağ olun.
Yaşar Hocam'a çok teşekkür ederiz. Çok sağ olun hocam. Tam zamanında buyurun lütfen. Çok ilginç. Sonuçta sormayı düşündüğüm bütün soruları cevapladı. Sırada Raymond Vögel var. Dr. Raymond Vögel, Münster Üniversitesi Almanya CEO'su ve 2007 yılından bu yana üniversitenin IT merkezi direktörü. UNIS, European University Information Systems Organization, Avrupa Üniversite Bilgi Sistemleri Organizasyonu Yönetim Kurulu üyesi ve şu anda başkanı. GMDS ve ES üyesi, bilgi sistemleri ve bilgi yönetimi alanındaki çalışmaları karmaşık bilgi altyapılarının yönetimine odaklanmaktadır. Please, Raymond. Your turn.
So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure to be here at this event in this magnificent setting and in this magnificent city. Thank you for the organizers to have me here. It was for the first time that we discussed this conference when our colleagues from Izmir visited the UNIS conference in Porto, the Rectors Conference, where we were discussing information systems affairs for universities, common courses across Europe, especially in the age of digitalization. And actually, I was asked as the president of UNIS to speak here, but when I learned that this was an open-air related conference, I told my friends from Izmir that actually I had also a story to tell in this thing. It is actually top of my agenda as a CIO for Münster University currently to get our technology foundation for research data management on the way, and building on the previous excellent presentations on strategies and the value and importance of open access and open science, I might now give you a glimpse on how at the German university we're trying to make this thing actually happen for the future, and do that in a context of multiple universities. From the presentation from CERN, from Tim, we saw how a really big player in science, some institution that is really doing big science, is handling research data on a very large scale. Universities, of course, are smaller, but nevertheless, in Germany, we take pride as universities of being in the core of research in our country, and thus we also see that we should be playing a part in research data management, research data infrastructures, and not only be using infrastructure that is provided by some big science centers that are, of course, now also involved in the EOSC project. Is that? Yeah. So digitalization has led to a deluge of digital data in science, and we're still trying to find ways to cope with that. Primary data is now digital, no longer analog data. The rate of growth of data is not really exponential, I think, but it gives us the feeling that we are facing an exponential increase of data, and this is, of course, very much straining our IT infrastructures. The new opportunities for science have been elaborated on before, from this digital ubiquitous availability of data. That means the data can now be ubiquitously available as far as it's made available. So we have to face on these FAIR principles and make researchers also think about making their data available to their colleagues. I have to shift this way so I can better read my slides. In what we learned from research, kind of social science research surveys amongst our researchers at our university, we see that they feel a little bit overwhelmed by this digitalization. They are subject to new regulations by funding agencies that require them to adopt certain standards of data stewardship and for digital data, and they are insecure if they can comply with this. With these standards, they need counseling, they need support for that, and of course they also need the technical infrastructure to do that. Universities, like also our university in Münster, are implementing top-level regulations that require their researchers to comply to standards for research data management, and of course this is also something that forces the IT service providers of the universities to make the infrastructures available to the researchers that the top-level regulations require them to use. We as IT service providers especially have to see how we can come up with the infrastructures even at a very large scope, and so there is a lot of scientists, especially from the life sciences, that knock on my door and that they say that we have new machinery like next generation sequencing equipment, and this is going to produce hundreds of terabytes of data per year, and so this is not easy to handle. So when I look at the volume of storage space that we have at our university over the years, I see a turning point more or less in around the year 2010. Before that, we had some 150 terabyte of disk space that we made available to our users, and then came a jump that we came to a petabyte, and since that time it is almost exponentially increasing. We are now at around 9 petabytes of disk space that we make available to our researchers. That doesn't mean that this is all used, but according to the demands that we get, we buy new storage, and this is really very quickly expanding. And when we look at the storage volume in our tape archive for backup, we see that the researchers no longer are able to back up everything to our tape archive. They just keep it on the disk drives just because the time is not there to back up it. And when one of those storage systems actually fails, a restore from this tape backup is no option actually, because that would take weeks and months to retrieve it again from such a tape archive. So we have to find ways to keep data online on these storage media and on these disk drives, and also do it in a way that it's safe and no backup and restore is actually needed. When it comes to e-science and research data infrastructures approaches across the world, we see, especially in Europe, the idea of the European Open Science Cloud. We've heard already on this, and when you read this 2016 strategy paper, you find one important thing in that, and that is that this is to be based on existing and emerging elements in the member states. That means Europe, the European Union, will not give you money to buy disk space and storage space for your research work and for your data. You have to find other ways to get that thing. EOSC is more or less a paradigm of the EU in thinking about research data infrastructures and exchange life cycles of data. It's not about investing into infrastructure. You have to do that differently on a national level. And when you look, so I took that from that strategy, from a EU presentation as well. When you look at different disciplines and their embracement of digital tools for research data management, you see especially physics, and there, of course, particle physics as one of those that have for a very long time been using digital research data management, and that have the whole stack from the physical infrastructures to the tools for data management up to the governance structures for having a tiered system of data management across Europe and even the world, as in the LHC grid. And there is those that have the tools for it, probably the life sciences best, but they need the storage for it from us, from the IT centers. And then there is the rather what you could call the tail of science, the long tail of science. That's especially the humanities that are now coming to a point where their primary data is also digital, and where they want to use new digital tools to have new possibilities for research, like image analysis in archaeology and you name it, or linguistic procedures in certain fields of language sciences, and they also need tools and platforms for tools where they can actually work. They don't have the power to develop that out of their own as people from particle physics did long ago. So we have to see how we can provide them also with the tools and the infrastructure to manage their data. When we look at the national perspective in Germany, we see of course, EOSC is only a EU paradigm, and that Germany has to see how to come up with the actual infrastructure for its own. The RFII, the Council for IT Infrastructure, that is advisory to the Federal Ministry of Education and Research in Germany, and also to the University Rectors Conference, has published a couple of strategy papers since 2016 that focus on creating a national research data infrastructure for Germany, which again foresees funding, especially for the establishment of science field-focused consortia, and there is a vision that this might be some 50, 60, probably 100, like in molecular biology, in next-generation sequencing, and of course certain material science and physics disciplines and so on. And they are to operate Germany-wide and use infrastructure that is provided by certain experienced storage and infrastructure providers, of course, especially big science institutions like DESI in Germany, or the big national research centers like Jülich or Karlsruhe in Germany, but it could also be consortia of universities that operate such infrastructures. The RFII, this advisory board, foresees actually a period of some 15 years to establish this Germany-wide national research data infrastructure, so this is not a quick thing, like one round of funding and 2 or 3 years later we have that, but this is an iterative process to establish this infrastructure over a substantially long period of time. The first calls for such consortia to form is expected for later this year, and we are, of course, currently in the process of positioning us to join in to such calls, and of course from our side as university IT service providers, as infrastructure parts in these consortia. Up to my knowledge, it's unique worldwide that on a national scale you have a coordinated strategy to establish such a national research data infrastructure. You have to understand that in Germany, universities are a state affair. It's not a federal affair, but is financed by the 15 federal states in Germany. So for our federal state of North Rhine-Westphalia, we have set up a strategy for contributing our part to this national research data infrastructure. We have actually formed 3 consortia of universities that have put forward funding proposals for storage and also cloud infrastructure to be the infrastructure basis of our research data infrastructure. And one of these consortia of 5 universities, Bonn, Bielefeld, Paderborn, Siegen, and Münster, is headed by my university. Our focus is on an open source focused infrastructure. To jointly operate this by university IT staff from all 5 consortium universities, and to do that without expensive external service contracts, but all do it by ourselves. The funding proposal for this is currently in peer review with the DFG, with the German Science Foundation. Main objectives of this is to have a scalable infrastructure, something that we can easily scale by a factor of 10 to accommodate for growth in data volume. It should be affordable as well in capital expenditure, so that each of the universities can have some 10 petabytes of storage space there. And of course, and that's the most important thing, it should be affordable in operations expenditures. So we have to see that we have to keep that alive for 20 years and more when we really want to have a sustainable home for research data. And so we cannot go for a system where we have to do more or less a forklift upgrade every 5 or 6 years and bring in another 5 million of equipment. That just won't work. We have to have something that we can that we can continuously scale up when we need more storage space, and that is low in maintenance cost. And this is for us especially something that we can do with open source software. And it should be especially future-proof in the sense that it should be immune to obsolescence. When you go for commercial storage and server products, you are all too often faced with the situation that a company goes out of service, out of business, that products go out of service, and then you have to see how you migrate to new products, and this is always very painful and actually from own experience also lossy. It doesn't mean that you are able to copy over all the data you have stored. You just learn that there is also a residue, always a residue of things that are not so easy or impossible to migrate. And so we were looking for a by design approach with an object-based storage platform, an open source object-based storage platform with Ceph that has more or less a built-in capability for migrating to new generations of hardware. So these are the main objectives that we have in our plan. So we are focusing on the infrastructure, and we see that e-science and the actual research data management will happen in this common ground for all our researchers. They can use the storage space, they can use virtual machines within this environment, and there perform their actual research work. So I've detailed a few more of the arguments that we had why we want to use Ceph as a storage platform and OpenStack as a on-premise private cloud stack for administrating this. I don't want to go into all the details on that. Also, I don't want to detail on why we want to go for a hyper-converged approach for our hardware that gives us better scalability and so on. But this is a rather technical fact. But what is interesting is that we want to connect with the researchers for using this infrastructure, especially through a cloud-based storage service, sync and share storage service that we've already established in 2015. We have established this on a statewide scale. It's also a project we started from Münster University that we do for a consortium of now 30 public universities and research institutions. We have 100,000 users there and a 5 petabyte storage platform as more or less kind of Dropbox system for the university domain, and we have also positioned that very centrally for researchers as the collaborative platform where they can collect and share their research data, and thus we want to add services to easily do data stewardship and curation operations to this cloud sync and share platform, and we're also planning to move this now rather monolithic infrastructure into this new on-premise cloud platform that we're building up with the research data infrastructure. And as I said before, I see that the actual research data management will happen in virtual machines in that private cloud. I also see the repositories like probably Invenio or other repositories live in virtual machines in this cloud. I see private GitLab instances for software projects that will also live there, digital humanity desktops, and also a project that we are doing from our university, open reproducible research. That means virtual machine or Docker containers that contain complete research results, data sets, and analysis for the public to online access and thus be able to reproduce research results that were published in publications. And this is also this cloud platform is also meant to be an infrastructure for that. So for these collective of research data services that we want to add to our storage platform, we have this diagram. We want to make tools available to automatically cross-reference data sets to our CRIS system, to our current research information system. We want to also have workflows to publish data to community repositories like Zenodo, of course, but also to a statewide system based on Ex Libris Rosetta that our ministry is building up, but also to other research data repositories at the universities. So this is the kind of work plan that we have set up for this project that we are currently getting underway now. This is for 3 years planned. And when it comes to our hyperconverged infrastructure, this is the main scheme of this infrastructure. We did a very detailed survey amongst our researchers at our universities, how much disk space, how much virtual machine capacity, and so on they need, and we ended up with some 8 petabyte net disk space that we need for our university when we are looking for the next 5 years, and this is exactly the thing that we have written into our funding proposal, and altogether what we are now asking the ministry to fund, and we have a basic agreement from the ministry that they have the finances for that and they are willing to fund it. As I said, now we are currently in peer review with our technical proposal, and if we have an okay by our peer reviewers, we hopefully will get the funding next year, and we're talking for this 5 university infrastructure, we're talking some 4.6 million euros, including VAT. I hope I did not strain my time too much. Thank you very much for your attendance, and of course I will be available for questions either now or afterwards in the lunch break. Thank you.
Sanırım birkaç dakikamız var yemekten önce. Eğer sorularınız var ise çok mutlaka sormalıyım dediğiniz 1 ya da 2 soru alabiliriz. Lütfen buyurun.
Benim Levent Parnas, ben TED Üniversitesi'nden rektör yardımcısıyım. Sormak istediğim konu benim çalışma konumla da ilgili aslında. Açık bilimin çalışma konum benim defense industry konularıyla ilgili. Açık bilim ve defense, bu ulusal güvenlik işte konularının gündeme geldiği ortamlarda nasıl bağdaştırıyorsunuz? Ben orada bir tehlike görüyorum, yani orada bir...
Onları yayınlamayacaksınız.
Yayınlamayacaksınız, kapalı kalacak filan. Bir ikinci sorum da bu gelişmekte olan dünyadaki işte daha önce de gündeme gelen popülizm, duvarların ve sınırların tekrar gündeme gelmesi. Örneğin İngiltere'nin Galileo projesinden dışlanması ve bu aslında belki iceberg'in ucu gibi görünüyor. Buradaki gelişmeleri nasıl görüyorsunuz? Bu open science'a nasıl bir impact oluşturacak?
Okay. Anybody would like to answer? Did you get the question? Okay.
To answer the open science specific thing.
Okay. So you want to answer or not? Okay. Yaşar hocam.
So I can give one quick answer. So when it comes to sensitive data, we not to my knowledge, none of the universities that is in our consortium is doing any defense-related research. But nevertheless, we also see that we have sensitive data that might be susceptible to industry espionage or is otherwise sensible. And we want to do a private cloud and keep data on premise and not mandate it to Amazon, Google, or whomever. We want to have the infrastructure in our own hand. Of course, defense data is yet another level of sensitivity, and this probably will mean that you want to keep it in your own university and not have at some other university. And our design of a distributed infrastructure will also give you the possibility to keep it in your own institution. So we have the technical ways to deal with that. When it comes to what I think of how open science in Europe develops now with Brexit and so on, I probably hand over to one of my colleagues. I don't feel so competent to answer on that.
Yep.
So I can answer on the first one. Is about open science. Part of open science is fair science. So even for defense or other sensitive data, the key thing what we're asking you to do here is to make sure that you keep the data in a format that it can be reused even for the future, even by your peers or even within your ministries. So it doesn't have to be all of it open, and that's why the European Commission says as open as possible, as close as necessary, because this is the thing. But have in mind the fair data, because this data can be reused. And when somebody knocks on your door and you're able to say, yes, I can share the data with you only, then you need to make sure that the data is very well curated, it can be reproduced, it can be all of that. And this is part of the defense, I think, in the future. I'm not sure about the second question because it was breaking, the translation was breaking down. I don't know the second question. What was it?
It was about open science and growing populist governments around the world. How would be affected? How does open science concept be affected by such?
I can answer. This is a philosophical question, I think, is that we don't know yet. But it's a matter of what kind of societies we want. Do we want societies with walls around us, or do we want societies around the world with openness? And I think, and this is a personal answer, is that technology may have gone beyond us, because all this globalization is due to technology, and there are some things that you cannot not do.
Çok teşekkür ederiz katıldığınız için sizlere, bütün konuşmacılarımıza, aynı zamanda organizasyon komitesine yeniden teşekkür ederek sizi öğle yemeği için aşağıya da yukarı bekliyoruz.